Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And it's cute. I thought it was going to be just me and Vinny in here, my husband, but thank you all for coming on Valentine's Day. First thing I want to say is how honored I am to be here right now, to speak with you and to talk to you. The story I've heard from people that come here, it's just amazing. Very beautiful spiritual experience I've heard from many, many people here, and I'm just so grateful that we're all being here together. Where should I start? I think the best place to start would be in 1990. It was the best of time, and it was the worst of time. Okay. Before this experience happened to me, I had a fantastic job. I was like the regional manager of 10 PA Bergner's - Carson Perry Scott stores in the visual presentation area in both Wisconsin and Illinois. That was my job, okay. I had a great boyfriend, we were going out for many years, and he was a graphic designer, and that was my major, and we had so many similarities and good friends together, okay. I had a beautiful brand new car. I think it was a Chrysler LeBaron. I thought it was like so fabulous. I had many friends, good family support system, and so much more. Anyway, then what happened to me is I elected to have brain surgery just because all in my 20s, it started out in college, I think, I was getting many, many headaches in college, and I thought, oh, headaches, college, stress, pressure, headaches. And I just lived with it, for a while, and then all of a sudden, in college, I had my first seizure. And I thought, what's this about? So my parents, said, okay, let's find out what this is about, and I went to a neurologist, Dr. Lawrence Bernstein, and he found out what I had, and it was called an arteriovenous malformation up in my brain. And I was maybe 18 or 19 years old or so. And I thought, well, okay, I've got this problem, but I got my life. And so basically I said, and at that time I was getting maybe one seizure a year. So I said, well, I got to just live my life and go on, just because I'm in college and I want a career and et cetera, et cetera. So I just put this problem on a back burner. So got out of college, went to, I think did a couple graphic design jobs and everything, but I think then I found a true calling in the visual presentation area, and I went to Gantos, a women's department store, lovely, fantastic company, and I had like 5 of the stores. It was the women's high-end fashion stores, and I did their display work and their windows displays and everything for 5 stores in the area. And then, I guess, basically I knew that was the area that I want to go in. So then finally, in maybe late or mid-80s, I went to a department store, because I wanted to do not just women's clothing stores, but I wanted to do all sorts of kind of display work. So the first job I got then was at PA Bergner's, which is now Carson Perry Scott, as I said, and at the Ranhurst Mall, and it was a brand new store at PA Bergner's. So everything was all new. It was fantastic, fantastic place for me to start in the department store in the visual presentation area. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I got. And the next position was the regional manager, and I had, this other, very wonderful job for me. So, let's see, what else do I want to say? Hold on. Okay, so then in my 20s, as I got older and older, what happened is the seizures, every couple of years, they kept getting more frequent, more frequent, more frequent. And I thought, okay. So then in my late 20s, I was getting maybe, I think, approximately maybe 1 to 2 seizures a month instead of a year. Or is it, it's on and on. So finally, thank God with my parents and my father especially, he, helped me track down, my neurologist was Lawrence Bernstein at Evanston, and Dr. Lawrence Bernstein tracked down the best neurosurgeons around the country, because I told him, I said, this is my brain, and I really wanted, someone of the best that could do this very risky and very, abnormal problem that was just not too easy to do. So anyway, thank God for my father and stuff. He basically said, if you need to find the doctor, do it. So he let me go, to different states with the best neurosurgeon that Dr. Lawrence Bernstein gave me. I went to maybe at least five neurosurgeons around the country just to meet the doctors, just to look at their hospitals, just to see what would feel the best for me. Anyway, the bottom line was fabulous. In Phoenix, Arizona, this Dr. Robert Spetzler, it's like when I met him, when I looked at his hospital, I said, this is where I gotta go. And maybe God might have directed me, Somewhere along the way, I felt so right to do it there. Anyway, so this Dr. Robert Spetzler, he told me and he warned me. He said, this is pretty nasty. He said, but he said, he could do his best. He would try it. And he also told me he gave me the risk. He said there is a risk of strokes during these kind of surgeries. These are not easy. And on a scale from 1 to 5, and 5 being the worst malformation, I had the 5. So it was a nasty one. And so I said, but I knew it had to be done because as I was getting worse and worse in my 20s with all these seizures, I thought maybe it's going to kill me, or maybe I was going to kill someone in my car eventually. I thought someday something bad that's really bad is going to happen. So I said, got to do it. And anyway, so there I was, and altogether, Dr. Robert Spetzler did 7 brain surgeries altogether because the malformation was so large that he couldn't do it all at once. He had to do a section at a section at a section at a time. And praise God, back then he could do it. So, let's see, when I started to recover, and I still, to this day, I have maybe about 8-year block of memory loss. Like before the surgeries, and maybe 4 years before and 4 years after. It's a nice blackout. And maybe I'm doing that on purpose. And maybe God just says, you don't need to know that memory, because it's probably not pretty. But, what I somewhat remember, I remember just a little bit, bits and pieces of that time, but not too much. But when I started to recovering, I think for months and months, I would just cry and cry and cry just because I thought that was to be my life. I was paralyzed on half my whole body. I was blinded. I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk because I had 2 strokes during all those surgeries. And so all I did was bawl. However, I don't know when. I wish I had a date of this little experience, just because, it'd be cool if I know the date, the day or anything. But I think basically what I remember is I was in bed, like on my back one night, and everything was dark, but I was not sleeping. And all of a sudden on my top right-hand side, I saw Jesus. And I thought, who, me? And, I just kind of looked at him. And then he kind of walked across on my left side. And all that he said to me was, he said, you're going to get better, and you've got to help others in this too. And since that moment, and the strength within myself, I said, well, thank God I have a mission. And now I understood that it was not a bad thing. Even though it sounded horrible what happened, That was just what I was given. And it changed my life forever. I'm so somewhat grateful that it all happened to me, if you believe that. But I'm so grateful because there are so many good things that came out of this bad situation. And that's the key for all of us to know. Some of this, as they say, the tragedy comes triumph. That is what I know. And we got to learn from, some of this garbage that we get, because there is a reason for everything. Hold on. Okay, well, what I said before this all happened to me, that I always call it my first life. And this is my gorgeous second life. The things that I gained from my bad situation are just priceless, okay? Because this happened to me, the mission that I realized from Jesus, honest to Pete, I realized it's not to go back to display work. Okay, so I said, well, I think it's to help others in recovery. So I started many, many years ago, approximately about 4 years after my surgeries and strokes and everything. I started Lutheran General Hospital as a volunteer person on 6 West, helping brain injury patients and stroke patients. And when I started that work, I knew that that was my calling. And for a while, I still do it also at Marion Joy Rehab Center in Lutheran now, but at the same time, many years ago, I was also doing at the American Heart Association and Alexian Brothers too, like 4 all at the same time. I couldn't get enough of it. Even though I was helping the patients, the volunteer work helped me as well. It was the calling that I've been given, and I'm just so grateful. I would say, certainly, another thing that I gained is the whole different outlook on life. Everyone's saying, well, who is this old Lisa? Scary. But I'm so different, and I'm grateful that I am. I think things like, I'd say, I'm a better person, I think, is the key. That truly, not that I was a bad person, but I was, in my first life, I think, basically was a workaholic. I think almost, for years and years, almost 60 hours every week, after week, after week. And it was a great life and stuff, but it's not part of my life anymore, okay? I have so much more patience. Before this happened to me, zip patience, I don't even know what that word meant, okay? That completely changed now. I have quite a bit more free time, which I'm blessed with. Another one is just I'm so much more spiritual than I used to be. I always believed in God and Jesus, but now they're on the front and center burner quite a bit now, all the time. I care so much for others. I drink quite a bit more coffee now. I think, here's a cute difference. Before this happened to me, I think I drank approximately somewhere 6 to 7 regular cup of coffees every day. Wired. I was just a wired lady. Okay, but practically every day now I drink like 1 coffee in the morning. So thank God that's changed. Another one is my driving habits. Before this happened to me, I was kind of a fast driver, kind of a zip, zip, go, go, race, race, rush, rush. And, now, I think because I couldn't drive for approximately about 3.5 years after this happened to me, when I finally got back in the wheels, I thought, what a blessing it is, that I can drive again. So I said I'm going to try to do everything, the best I can and just be safe and everything. So hopefully, that will continue on. Here's another good one that changed because this happened to me. My credit card bills. Before this happened to me, I was in the credit, quite a bit. Now it's like, I still use it a tad, but certainly not like I used to be. So that's another good change. Another good change is all my life I was, into working out and running. I've been running since I was 12 years old, maybe. And then, and so it's always been part of my life. But after this happened to me, I couldn't do any physical activities for, a couple of years. But it's so cute. Even though when I started to recover, I was in a wheelchair and everything. And finally, when I could finally start walking, not very well, but I was thinking, when can I start jogging again? But I knew it was going to still take time and more time and more time. But eventually, just even the assistant living that I started on after the rehab centers, I was on the rehab centers for over a year, I think. I didn't start jogging, 45 minutes like I used to, but I started walking around the block, just walking. Started that way. So nothing just happens overnight. And then a couple years later, and I was just so blessed and grateful that I could walk again. And then all of a sudden, maybe I started, power walking. And then I started jogging. And I was so grateful. And now, bottom line is now, a couple have friends of mine from the club, and they would say, she jogs quite a bit. About approximately 90 minutes, 4 times a week that I jog. So, and in fact, that's twice as much as I used to before this happened to me. So that's another good thing that came out of this situation. Ooh, here's another good one. Sleeping. Before this happened to me, I was sleeping maybe 4 or 5 hours at the most. Now I try to get 7, 8 hours, sometimes 9 sometimes, sleep, hours a night now. So that's twice as much as it used to be. Another good thing for all of us, I think it's so fabulous to the best for us is just focus on the future. Because whatever good thing is going to come to us, that's where it's going to come from, the future. So try to, and we can't really change the past, as we all know. So look on the future and notice the good things, whatever the situations that happens to any of you, notice so many good things come out of the future for you. And I'd say pretty much the best positive is that husband of mine. Vincent Kane, could you please stand up? No? Well, then I'll point at you. There you go. Thank you. I think he was truly sent from above. And one of his nicknames, he has many, and I won't tell many of them, but I have to tell one. Bad boy. Just because that is just never what he is. He is, oh, I'm sorry, he's getting embarrassed. Okay. He is so a gentleman, an honest man. Okay, all of a sudden I was, speaking very well, and now it's hard. He's such a blessing, and he doesn't even know it, and that's what I love about him. He's, somewhat, not always, but he's quite humble, and he's dying right now that I'm talking about him, so I'm sorry that I'm doing it. But I have to. Okay, no more. I can't talk about you anymore. You are my angel, though. Okay, now I have, Vinny has some handouts if anyone wants some after my speech. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about the emotional stuff that you went through when you woke up from the operation?
Sure, of course. Thank you. Thank you.
How you unfolded?
Thank you. I will. Okay, like I said, all I did in the beginning of the rehab center, I would just cry and cry and cry, just because I thought that was to be my life. Okay. And it was what I said about the spiritual being, that, you know, Jesus came to me and everything. And also, thank you for mentioning that, just because the key, I think, to my healing is the strength within myself. Honestly, Pete, I was such a fighter through this whole recovery process. It's been 19 years, I think. Yeah, 19 years, and I'm fighting today, going through it. I can still recover. There's many things that I still feel it's certainly not perfect, and I'm going to fight for the rest of my life. And even the doctors, the neurosurgeons, and everyone told me, oh, it'll take you 12 years to recover. Well, that's funny, even though they were so good and everything, but on that note, I've been recovering after 12 years, 13, 14, I'm still recovering. So that's what they said, but I know we can recover forever. Okay. Yes?
How did you get your sight back?
I would say everything was black, and in the beginning there was just a section on my left side, just a little section that I could see over there, and then maybe, you know, every couple of weeks or every month or something, I saw a little bit more on the left side, and then a couple more months, a little bit more vision. So it just kind of came that way. Yes?
Lisa, you knew it was Jesus.
Yes.
There are several different pictures of him. Can you describe him?
Okay. And the cameraman, your name is, I'm sorry?
Ted.
Ted, thank you, Ted. Ted asked me the same question today. Okay, so that's cute. I think God looks, the way I feel it, he looked like what I thought he looked like. Probably from, you know, the pictures I've seen in my lifetime. That's what he looked like to me. However, that's because he knew that's what I would know that's in him. But who's to say what we look like spiritually? Okay? So I think Jesus, or, you know, the beings, spiritually, who knows? You know? I can't wait to go. I know it sounds crazy, okay? But this world, on this life, even if we live to be 100 years old, I always say it's just a short time here. You know, we just have to deal with this garbage that we get, the very best that we can, and just know the second life, there's no pain, no suffering, no sorrow, no tragedy. And I say, once in a while, but he never listens to me, I say, thank me, you know. It's okay.
Okay, did you see him as a form of the man?
Yes, exactly. Not a spiritual, I didn't see him spiritually. I saw him what he knew that I would know that it was him. I saw him as the picture that we see, you know, here and there on this earth, what we sort of see him as. I think that's how he knew that I would know who he is. But who knows what he looks like spiritually? Yes?
What kind of medications and therapy do you have to go through for the recovery?
Let's see. Ooh, good question. I don't want to say that I remember, you know, like I said, I have the block of memory loss. So after this happened to me, I can't say any medication that they gave me at that time. But right now, at this moment, I take Keppra, just because I think, I don't want to say I'm 100% cured and everything. I think I'm maybe like 95% cured. Okay, just because, of all these years, 19 years, I had a very minor seizure, that lasted, just a couple of seconds, and that was that in 19 years. But I can accept that much more than 2 seizures a month. Anybody else? Yes.
Getting back to your earlier conversation about Jesus being seen so you recognize him, in light of that and in light of your statement about seeing the good in every situation, can you kind of link the two together and speak to other dimensions you may have encountered and other beings, or is that enough?
Ooh, let's see. I can't say right now, that any too much more came. I think that was quite enough.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking, but I wish I could have more. Maybe I'm not in tune to that area as well as some other people are. But when I come here, and I love this group so much, when I come here, when I hear spiritual experience from people, I believe it all. And in my first life, I would probably just not think too much about it. I said, yeah, those are those people. But now I know, there's so much more. And I believe all these spirits, the things that happen in here, I believe it all. Yes.
And then the way you change your whole, your life-changing event, experiencing this vision of Jesus, and now seeing the good. Can you get into that a little bit?
Wow, I'm speechless now. That question is a good one. Say it once again.
Maybe back to, the way you transform, having Jesus reach you that way, and then now seeing the good in every situation, and the graces that your new vision. Just can you speak to that? Maybe some situations that you've encountered in the past several years that would have otherwise been trouble, but now they're easy.
Oh, let's see. I think possibly, hopefully this will answer your question, but all my life I was my personality was, I'm somewhat of a positive person quite a bit of the time. Then this happened to me, and positivity was not around. I was so missing myself for so long, and I thought, is this going to be my life forever? And then that spiritual experience happened, and it gave me the direction to go, and now I think that's why I've changed, is because now I see so much clearly, even though there's junk in this life and stuff, I see just much more positive things, and I focus on the positive things, even though we all have junk in our lives. We all do, and so do I, I'm sure. But it's just better to focus on the positive things that's happening to us, because we all have it, but we just don't maybe see it as much as we should. Yes.
You mentioned positiveness. Nothing ever worked for me until I said, Alan R. Friedemann, you are going to be 100% positive, or life isn't going to be good. And you mentioned yourself, you're 95% in a lot of things. You got to really work on that. And it's the 100% positiveness. Like good old Norman Vincent Peale said, the power of positive thinking. It is an incredible power.
It's such a key. I think it's such a key. That is probably why I healed as much as I did. I was such a fighter, and the power thinking, positive thinking, it was just, I think, the key for me. Yes?
Can you advise us in that light about today's news and staying positive today?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Well, I think no matter how bad, this is the way I feel. Maybe some of you might believe me, some of you, but I just feel, and I said before, this life on this world, it's just a short time here. And we have to just face some of it and just know we don't have to stay here forever. It's just a short time. It's just a short time.
Lisa,
Yes.
will you address where you are to face in terms of prayer and meditation, and when you are also involved in the lives of people that you're ministering to? Are you given what they need to say for their individual case, or do you pretty much have a format that works for everyone?
Ooh, good question. I would say, okay, when I, go into a patient's room, everyone that's a patient in a hospital or a rehab center, the last thing they want is someone else coming into their room, just because to poke them, to prod them, to, give them bad news or something. So, it's always, every time I kind of walk into a room, I had to think, what could be just something, just a little bit, something to ease them to wondering who I am and what am I going to do. So I just go to rooms and I say, I'll come to them and I'll just say, I'm Lisa, volunteer, and would you just like to have a social visit? And many of them, they just go, okay. Just because it's not something they ever kind of hear in a hospital. It's like, what is that about? They want to hear more. So it's just a nice icebreaker, I feel. And I'd say approximately, maybe 95% of the patients say, come on in. And then there is someone every, once in a while, not very often, but every once in a while there's a patient that doesn't want to see anybody. I understand that too. So when someone says, no, even though you have no idea who I am, then I just say, have a good day. So I just don't want to, make them more uncomfortable. So like the 5% of patients that just don't want to deal with anybody, I leave them alone.
And the prayer and meditation for yourself?
I would say spirituality. I'm 20 times stronger than I used to be. And, God probably says, not you again, Lisa. And it's not just, asking about for me. I just, pray for others quite a bit more than I used to. I just talk to him. I just talk to him just about the good things that have happened to me, and I thank him quite a bit. And the blessing that I get, I just thank him and thank him and thank him. I just bother him. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
My name is Therese, Lisa, and I think we have had very similar experiences, except
Yes.
I didn't have as many surgeries as you did.
One is enough.
Correct. And I think, and I'm a therapist now, and I think what I'm finding for myself, and I'm wondering if you might feel this also, is that if I had become this therapist not having this happen to me, I might have felt more like a person that wanted to fix everybody. And I think now I'm able to just sort of go into the pain a lot easier and just be with the person. And just witnessing that has allowed people to feel more that I'm sort of walking the walk a lot more with them. And
Thank God.
That feels more like a transformation for me from my experience.
Fantastic.
Yeah, like I don't think I could learn that in school and all the coursework. It's sort of just what I think the experience has brought to my ministry.
See, so some would thank God for what happened to you then. The changes in you.
when you look at it after you step away, do you find yourself having, like, you're already using that experience? It's not even something you think about anymore. It's sort of so much more a part of you.
I'm just so grateful, like I said, that it happened. And yes, that was the past, and my life is just so blessed now. Blessed and blessed and blessed.
I have a question.
Okay.
The question's for both of you. Do you think that you're more effective because you went through this experience, as a therapist or a counselor, than those who didn't go through it and are trying to fix people?
I believe so. I would certainly say so. And here's the cute difference between the old Lisa and the new Lisa is, in my first life, honest to Pete, I used to think, volunteer service? That's fine for somebody else, but you can't get any money. Honest to Pete, that was me. So, thank God no one met me. No one met me back then. Yes?
Lisa, do you find that when you're with the patients, do you witness to people about your experience with Jesus? Or, do you give, is that the main thing? Or
No.
you don't talk about
And the reason why it's not, I wish I could, speak to it, everyone. However, I will only kind of mention it most of the time if they will start talking about God first. Just because, so many different religions and, things that, sometimes it's dangerous. And as a volunteer, it's a little bit risky to start talking about, religious and spiritual things sometimes. So it's kind of a little bit just a safer thing as a volunteer person to maybe only if they start speaking about it first. And then I'll give a little 2 cents in about my experience, but not all the time, just because I think it's a little bit more safe. Does that make sense? Yes?
I think your body's inherent capacity to recover and rebuild, we need to give some credit to that also. Liver is not the only organ that can regenerate. Our brain regenerates, your eyesight recovers, you begin to walk, you are vocal. All that came because your body is designed to survive.
Very much so.
Survive and rebuild itself and keep on going. So survival really is the #1 priority of every living thing, to survive, grow, transform, and so forth, not the other way around.
And there's so much of our brain we don't use, and we don't realize, what we could probably heal within ourselves. So much we don't know yet.
I just want to give some credit to the body itself.
Thank you. My. Anyone else? Yes, sister?
Hi, I'm Lisa's sister. She's my baby sister. She's the youngest in our family. We have 7 brothers and sisters. I'm here representing the family, and I just wanted to say how proud we are of her. How much progress she has made, it is incredible, because I was there in Phoenix. I just had a baby, but I went out a couple months after in the middle of her surgery, and to think of her then and to see her now, it's just amazing. And she makes progress, and she still made progress. I remember thinking 10 years ago, wow, it's been 10 years, and she's still making progress every day. She was sort of quiet, she was fully recovered physically and doing things, but then I remember at parties she'd be kind of shy, and she certainly has lost that shyness. She's back to being, as outspoken and as fun and a great personality, and we're just so happy that she's made this progress and that she's sharing all her gifts now with others and being able to go and volunteer and helping others like her. So I just wanted to say that we're so proud of her.
Thank you, Joan. That's sweet. Thank you. Okay.
Lisa. Well, Lisa didn't really mention, but there's a lot of volunteers at the hospitals that are there volunteering because Lisa was such an inspiration when they were recovering.
Oh, I did forget.
So, the effect went on to be kind of multiplied, and it's just not a single person now, but several people, 4 or 5 now, that thank her for her inspiration during their recovery, that they're now volunteers and helping others recover too.
Yes. Oh, and one more thing. I just have my own personal, my getting better tips. The things that I learned going through recovery, and for so long I couldn't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, okay? And all these tips that was giving to me of how to get better, and the things I learned myself, I said, ooh, write them down on paper so I could see it every day and look at it and look at it and look at it to see how to get better tips. So I did that, and now quite a bit of the time as a volunteer, I pass it out to patients. And that, you know, so I have some today in case anyone wants them, you know, but, and then Vinny has those pictures too that of my before and after thing. So if anyone wants any of that stuff, just sit back a little while and we'll hand it out, okay? Oh, actually, wait, no, I take that back. The getting better tips, we kept them in the car because I wasn't sure if I should bring them or not. But you can get my phone number and everything, and my name, and I can, you know, give you guys out one. I can't do it today, but at least the picture thing we can give you today, okay?
Can you share some of those tips from memory?
Ah, ooh, that's mean. Cruel.
Just one will do.
Well, I sent some already, but I would say recovery is just, I think the first and foremost thing that probably 95 of us don't have is the old word patience. That is the key, I think, to healing. You just, nothing happens overnight, and that's something I never had before this happened to me. Never had any patience whatsoever. And now I'm 3 times as much patience as I used to be. Yes?
You call it life 1, life 2.
Yeah.
Life 1 has its own set of preconceived notions, okay? When you moved into life 2, I'm sure the notions changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you deal with the old ones when they started to creep back in? Because they're pretty tenacious.
Well, I just always kind of say that was just my first life.
Okay.
And I'm grateful that I had it, but I don't, like, miss it too much. Thank God that I had that first life. But I don't, like, look back and say, oh, look what I lost, look what I lost. I instead look at the beautiful gains. And Marcia, you said, tell me more gains. I just told you one, but I think I wrote on here kind of, oh, it's right here. I'll give you just a few more. Like I said, my getting better tips. You can reach me through INNDS, you know, and just and I can, you know, send them some maybe next month, you know, and pass them out then. You know, if anyone wants them. If you don't, that's okay too.
Lisa?
Yes.
If you want to email them to me, I could put them in the
Sure. Okay.
emailing that I send out.
Oh, okay. If that's okay by you guys.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Vinny helped me with that. Thank God. Vinny is a computer engineer, so thank God I have him so that he can help me every once in a while. I'm not that good at it, but for so many years I was so out of all this new technologies. It's so cute that he's with me, helping me quite a bit. Just a couple more of my getting better tips. Oh, here's a good one. Know who are your true friends. Okay. Just because before this happened to me, I had friends and friends and friends, okay? And how interesting that changed. You know, then this happened to me, and I lost so many friends. So many people could not deal with the tragedy that happened to me, so they just backed away. And approximately less than maybe 5 people stuck with me, you know, through this whole time. And not, even 5 is maybe too many. But it was interesting. That was very, you know. But thank God, the friends that I have now, precious God-sent friends, and I just treasure them to death. They're true friends, you know. They accept me for who I am now. Another good thing was, you know, be a fighter, don't ever give up. Oh, here's a good one. I would say, after this happened to me, watch out for people who take advantage of you. I forgot this part, and this is a very major part that I should talk about. Okay, before this happened to me, you know, no one could take advantage of me. I was a strong individual. However, this happened to me. Maybe when I start going back to work at Carson Perry Scott, okay, they obviously couldn't put me back to that position that I was in, right? They said, oh, you can't handle that, which I couldn't. So like I said, I was, you know, had a big important career and everything. Then I went back to work, and they gave me a position down on the dock at the Ranhurst Mall, just in the dock where I was a processor. Sounds like a fancy title, but all it was putting the Sensomatic tickets on the clothes for theft. That was my job. And so, you know, there I was. And during that time, when I was ever so sick, when I started working again, but I said, oh, this is what I got to do. There was a guy, he was down the dock, his name was Steve Brashkow, I think. And he was just a dock guy. And he had a Tourette's syndrome, I think it's called, some kind of a problem of his own. And anyway, he knew me back before I was ill and everything. And I just thought he was a good man because he was such a hard worker. But anyway, when he saw me after the surgery and stuff, he knew I'm quite different. And he started kissing me at work, you know, here and there. And I just I was not aware kind of what was going on. And I thought, you know, I didn't even know kind of that it was happening. So it was just happening for several weeks. And then all of a sudden, you know, as I got, you know, a little bit better, then I thought, oh, this is something wrong. Okay. So I knew this was a thing against the law. And I went up to Marion Rudy, the resource manager, and I told her what happened. And she said, oh, well, you know, we'll put you on another time frame. So she made me, change my hours, and he did not get fired. He did not get fired. To this day, he probably still works there. Everyone go there and punch him out. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, okay, so that happened. And also, another thing that happened at Carson's, for years and years after this happened to me, I think it was approximately 3 years, I was supposed to get, you know, my benefits from the career position I used to have. And I used to have 3 or 4 weeks of vacation every year before this happened to me. Well, since I was so out of it when I came back to work, for several, you know, I think at least 3 years, I realized one day as I got better, I thought, how come I don't get any of that, the vacation money that I used to get, before the surgery? How come I don't get that vacation money anymore? So I went up to the human resources manager, and I said, shouldn't I get the vacation that I used to get? And she said, oh, okay. And then she paid it all to me. And I thought, isn't this interesting? How they just took advantage of me in this way, and this way, and this way, and there's more. I could talk forever about Carson. Oh, another one. One more, and that's all. Another one was the boss of the doc, whose name was Ray Perry. That's what his name was. And he tried to date me, you know, just because I was sick. And I did for the first time when he asked me, I thought, well, you know, should I or shouldn't I? Because he's my boss. and obviously in my first life, I would never do such a thing, but I just didn't have my normal self yet, and I thought, so I went out with him once to a lunch, and I thought, this is not right, but I didn't mention anything. Thank God it was just a lunch. And then after that, then he asked me again, and I thought, okay. And I went up to Mary and Rudy to tell him, her about it again. She said, oh, he won't do it again. And he didn't get fired either. Okay, so no more Carson stories, but so just so much, junk had happened. But thank God it's all behind me. Yes.
I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, and I was just wondering, do you have any tips for kind of how to get past that stage when people aren't quite, like old friends that you had before aren't quite treating you the way they used to, and you don't quite know where you belong? Like, do you have any tips for kind of where to go, just general? I mean, obviously you kind of got to find your own place, but I guess we're kind of going through that too, and we're just kind of looking for a little bit of encouragement.
Oh, sure. And here's where I'm not 100%. Can you just say that one more time so I can listen to it a little bit better? No, that's okay.
Just, my mom had a few strokes, and we've been kind of living a little bit of a half-life where the friends we had before don't know how to deal with us.
Yes.
The people we've met on the journey aren't quite growing with us because they saw her like when she came here a year ago, and she's improved in leaps and bounds. So I don't think they know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with me anymore because we're kind of like a package deal. And I was just hoping you could give us some tips or an idea or two of what you did to sort of find new people in your life, like your husband, and any of the friends that carry on with you, like how you grew with them and where you went to find that.
Okay, here's pretty much what I think I can tell you is, I think because I'm much more spiritual and I'm so much more connected with the beings up above, I think he helped me to get to that direction. So within yourselves, just keep talking to him more. I think that would be a key. That would be the first thing I would say. Yes?
Could I add something to
Sure,
what
of
you
course.
said?
Sure.
Because I understand what it is that you're saying, and one thing that I found is that it's good to realize that sometimes, people come and go in our lives, and we come and go from theirs. And part of it is realizing that that happens and that's natural. And if we can find within ourselves that space
Bingo.
that allows that to happen and say, it's okay, I understand that you need to go and not, be a part of this. But also, as Lisa said, I think too, we can ask for help in prayer and in meditation to ask for people to come into your lives that who may be needing you and looking for you as companions as well. And there are ways that people come in and out of our lives through guidance, and that we can, I strongly believe, can ask for help in that way as well. And then also to trust that that happens. People will be guided to you.
I like that. Very good point. Anybody else? Yes?
I'm so sorry I wasn't here for a lot of your talk.
Oh.
So you may have said this before.
That's okay.
I just started my own business, and I'm coaching, and I'm trying to figure out the best strengths that I should be using in my job. And I went around for about a month just sort of asking where do my greatest strengths meet the greatest needs in the world? And one day I was walking around the lake and the answer just came back really clearly. Your purpose is to realize yourself as a soul. And I've actually intellectually believed that for a long time, but this very clear answer came to me, and I thought, well, okay, so that's my spiritual purpose, and that's great. But in order to fulfill that, I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, and I need to be able to make a living. And I know that you do a lot of volunteering, and I just wondered what your approach is to integrating really your spiritual purpose at work, if that makes any sense.
Give me that question one more time.
Again, I feel like my purpose is spiritual.
Okay.
And
I'm sure it is.
I want to be able to live that fully. I had a corporate job, for a long time, and I decided to go into business for myself, and I love coaching. I need to be able to find my clients, and I'm just looking for, what's the right place for me to be targeting my message for my clients. And as I was trying to find that, again, I was pulled back to it's about spirituality, and I don't want to sell being a spiritual coach of some sort. That's not my thing. So I'm just looking for what's the best way to find the most honest path at work, where you're using your best gifts at work.
I want to say possibly, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think possibly all of us on this earth, in some way, some form, somehow, I think maybe it might be just helping others. If you think about it, all the money we could get in our jobs, and all the fancy cars that we drive, and all the material things that we have, things like that. Sure, it's nice, and it looks great and stuff, but really, there's so much more. Did I give any answer to you?
I think it's the answer. It makes sense. It confirms an understanding. The mystery for me is still, how will I stand on my own feet? And it's not something that you'll be able to answer for me. So, with the experiences that you've had, I don't know what you're doing for a living. I know that you're doing a lot of volunteering, and I just wondered how you bring your truth.
No, but I'm on Career Builders in Monster Dog, but they don't want me.
Lisa,
Okay.
what kind of job skills do you have now that could translate into, what kind of work would you be looking for?
I was been looking for many things now. I'm very open to many kind of jobs, if anyone knows. But for a while I wanted to be, somehow helping others, but I didn't want to go back to school just because, I had my degree in college and everything, and so I thought, why do I have to go back to school again when, I had it all then, and now I have to go back again? I thought, that's not fair. So I wanted to help others in hospital situation, but a lot of times you have to certified, be more certified. So, but even if I get just like a secretarial job, in a hospital or something, that would be cool too. Yes?
Have you published your story?
Ah.
Stream of revenue.
Well, thank you. No, what? Guess what? That is on. I am doing that. It's not. I didn't want to say anything just because it's not ready yet. But approximately, I am writing a book, and I think typewritten pages right now. It's approximately like maybe 60 typewritten pages. So it's getting there. But I didn't want to say tonight, that I was doing it. But since you mentioned it, so hopefully that'd be hopefully. And Vinny's right now probably saying, yeah, someday, Lisa. But hopefully it's going to be soon. And maybe tonight, just the fact that, I'm talking to you guys, maybe this will give me a little bit more inspiration to get it done.
I think from my experience, what, in answer to maybe both of your questions, that, we look back on our life and if we can see how everything has helped us get to where we are today, then we can really believe that we can continue to build from the place we are today. And I find a lot of guidance from journaling. So I think in journaling, you're putting the word out there and you're planting seeds to just your spiritual guide. I also believe in Jesus, but just the universe is waiting for you to be invited. And I think you already planted some seeds by stating that, and you saying you invited more people in your life to understand your mother's condition. I think that we just have to ask, and then we will bump into people, and then all of a sudden you're reading an article in a magazine, and there's this kind of group that's inviting folks to come and be a part of that. And there's a huge pool that our world does offer us to grow. I think we just have to say, I want to do this. And what this is continues to change every day. So keep going on those walks on the beach and writing afterwards, and I think it happens. I'm like on my third career, and I love it. But being a special ed teacher led me to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a teacher anymore. Sure. Yes.
To add to that, I think that you also need to surrender to your angst. You need to just be, when you are anxious, be in the moment, be anxious, don't worry about it. And it's okay to search, keep searching, but the more important thing is to get to know yourself, to build yourself. And it's so true, it's through writing, through journaling. That journal, nobody else will read, so be as honest as you possibly can. And what I found for myself is that even though you write with your own hand, the answers come from somewhere else. But I don't know if it's your ego or what it is, you look at it, and because you don't trust yourself yet, you're like, oh my God, what did I write? I'm so vain. How could I possibly write that? That's not me. Like if you start writing positive things, more like this happened with me where you're more than you know, there's more out there, just be patient. And to me that was anxious, wouldn't believe it at the time. I wasn't developed. And when I was 18, I used to be very depressed, bipolar depression. And by 25, I wasn't depressed anymore. I had kids and my chemistry changed. But then from 25 till now, 40, I kept being anxious about what am I going to do with my life? What's my purpose? It just wouldn't let me go. I just had such a yearning that pulled me. And at 23, I thought, since psychology was so much part of my life, I wanted to be a psychologist, but I wasn't self-assured. I said, forget it. So then I had kids, and now I have a 13-year-old kid that has ADD, and that I deal with a lot of social, emotional problems at school and educational. And now at 40, it took me all these years through writing, through coming to places like this, through just surrendering to the pain. I'm going back to school for a master's for school psychology. But I didn't come to that point until I lived my life and had my son of 13 years and went through this. And it kind of came together, And it's okay to get older and, you don't have to get your answers at 20-something, at whatever. It'll come, but if you keep fighting it, it'll take a lot longer. For me, it took a long time because I felt like everybody around me wanted me to, I had to prove my ego. I had to prove that I was something more than just a stay-at-home mom, or that I was unorganized or a loser or whatever, or all these things that I grew up with. That like your past defines who you're going to be, but if you don't fight those demons and get to know yourself and build yourself, then you'll forever stay where you are. But don't be anxious to do it fast. Live in the present moment. And when you live in that present moment, you'll keep building. But don't stop searching for what you want. And I never thought I'd have have the courage to go back to school, write papers and all that stuff, and now, hey, it's no big deal. You know, it's okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very well said.
What came to my mind was Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. Reread this if you've read it just once. She has got the perfect evolvement of things happening in divine order in her life. She just moved along, much of which she had no plan for. It evolved as she evolved. It's a wonderful book.
And watch her new movie, which came out last month, that explains that.
Yes.
So you can see it.
Yes.
You Can Heal Your Life.
Louise Hay, Hay.
You go to hayhouse.com.
And Louise Notcon's mindfulness work is wonderful.
Oh, yeah, mindfulness.
What's her name? It's a really good book. It's really just stay and
She's got a board? Yes.
Yes, the gal mentioned ego, and she hit the nail right on the head. The only way you can get through self-improvement is to go with spirit and completely vanquish ego. Because ego is the selfishness within you, and spirit is the selflessness in you. And you will know when that happens, when you want to continually help other people. Do you know your ego is still with you, or do you even think about that? Because the spirit should be the person that guides your life. You know, we're born with ego, and spirit sits quietly by and just looks on. And some people go through their whole lives with just ego talking to them. They don't know anything about spirit. So you actually have to talk yourself into believing. And once you believe and spirit knows you believe, spirit will take care of ego. And ego will be gone. And that is what has happened to me. And I think that's what's happened to you too.
I believe so.
Good point. Forget ego. Don't even mention the name anymore.
And I have a couple, just a couple little good points for the end. Just some of the things maybe some of you have heard already, but you know, God little sayings and things that we hear every once in a while. You know, God doesn't give us that we can't handle. Good things happens to those who wait. God does move in mysterious ways. And one that's the best is the person that's going to help you most is yourself. So on that note, thank you very much for having me. Any more questions?
Questions? Somebody had a question?
Well, I thank spirit. But
Yes.
you've got to be worthy of me overall doing it.
Yes.
If you go by the
No floating. I was just in bed on my back. No floating to me.
Okay, you know what ego's going on?
Okay.
You're perfectly comfortable.
Lisa,
Anybody that
did
talks
you
to
come back from your near-death experience? You came back obviously with a change in perception and your sense of things was changed. What about other things? Did you come back with any other gifts, like intuitive gifts or healing gifts or anything that you noticed particularly?
I wish I did.
You don't have to have.
I can't say for sure, but let's just say helping others. You know, I'm never sure, you know, how they are after they get out of the hospital. Every once in a while, someone might contact me, you know, once in a while. And some of the volunteer people are working with me that I helped, you know, as Vinnie said. And they're with me, you know, in volunteer services, and it's just precious, you know.
It seems like your gift is in counseling, helping people. That seems to be a major energy. And as you said, you're still healing. Who knows what's going to evolve before you leave here? Hopefully many good things. Hopefully many good things. So thank you again so much. We are going to release. We want to talk to Lisa further. She will be there too. Yeah. And she has the flyers which she'll pass out as you before you leave.